Where else would you rather be than a Zoom full of Penn Staters? I'm Paul Clifford, CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association, and I want to welcome you to the Alumni Association's Coffee Hour, where each week you can expect to hear the voices of Penn Staters talking about the things that they are passionate about, and you can expect to feel the pride and the power of the Penn State network. As a reminder, we are recording this session and we will be editing it and sharing it with other Penn Staters. Today, I'm joined by the Executive Vice President of Penn State's Panhellenic Council, Kylee McGuigan. Kylie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Absolutely. Delighted to have you with us. For Penn Staters who might not be aware, what is Panhellenic Council?
So the Panhellenic Council is one of the 4 Greek councils at Penn State. So we are composed of over 3,000 women. We have numerous chapters. We're also lucky. My chapter is one of the newest chapters at Penn State. We were founded my freshman year, so in 2016. And we also had a new chapter come about in this past year. But that's a little summary of the Panhellenic Council. We do numerous events on campus. We also work with the other 3 councils on campus. We're involved with thon. We do philanthropy, service, definitely highlight academics as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about Panhellenic. Definitely can say that it really shaped my undergraduate career at Penn State.
So talk a little bit about how you got involved with Greek life at Penn State.
Yeah, of course. So when I was in high school, I was on my dance team. So that gave me a really big group of friends there. I wanted the same type of experience in college. So right before freshman year at Penn State, so like I guess July, August, I did what I guess a lot of incoming freshman girls would do. I went on my Instagram search of things to get involved with on campus, and I started to follow a bunch of sororities. Sorority life always interested me. My mom was in a sorority when she was in college, so I figured I would join a very similar organization as her. I figured I would find the same group of friends that I found in high school that I would find in college through that. So I registered for recruitment my freshman year. When I started going through the process. It is a very interesting process to go through. Those who have been through it can definitely attest to that. I went through it for a little bit, and then it's funny, I actually decided maybe Greek life isn't for me. Maybe my route would be different. Maybe I could join a sport or a different club, something involved with my major. So I decided, all right, maybe I won't join a sorority. And then I was aware that my sorority, Delta Phi Epsilon, was recolonizing at Penn State. So that means that Delta Phi Epsilon was on Penn State's campus years ago. Then they were removed from campus, and then they came back. So my freshman year, like I mentioned before, in 2016. So I became a founder of my sorority. So that means that I was the founding class. I helped in developing the bylaws, so the rules of the sorority. So all things relating to social experiences, philanthropy, service, academics, things along those lines. And I had a lot to say in what the sorority's voice would be on campus. So I felt that was a really interesting thing for me to get involved with as an 18-year-old freshman. It definitely paved the way for the sorority to be developed throughout the last 4 years. And through my involvement with my sorority, I met some of my best friends. Not to be corny, I guess sisters for life. I definitely can attribute a bulk of my Penn State experience to my involvement with my sorority and with Greek life. I believe it's definitely shaped me into the person I am today. And I'm very thankful that I found my sorority, and just to get the ball rolling with that, it definitely is a very unique experience. And Greek life as a whole is a very fun and interesting thing to get involved with, not only at Penn State, but just in college as a whole. So I'm definitely very thankful, as I said, to have had my Greek life experience be so positive and enhancing of my own personal life.
This is the Penn State Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. I'm Paul Clifford. I'm joined by the Executive Vice President of Panhellenic Council, Kylee McGuigan. So Kylie, let's start right at the very beginning. How did you become a Penn State Nittany Lion?
So I think about this story often. It's actually pretty funny. My Penn State experience, or journey, I should say, started when I was in 7th grade. So in middle school, I played volleyball. I was super into sports. I definitely wish I still continued with sports, but that's in the past, I guess. But when I played volleyball, I played for a club that was based out of South Jersey. But it's funny because a lot of our tournaments took place in Pennsylvania. King of Prussia was a very big location for tournaments, and anywhere else outside of Philadelphia. It was Memorial Day weekend. So when I was in 7th grade, I guess I was 12 or 13, and we were going to a volleyball tournament that was being hosted at Penn State, and it so casually was called Happy Volley Tournament. So that nice play on words with Happy Valley, turning it into Happy Volley. I still had a shirt until high school that said Happy Volley, and I would think that was so funny that they made like a joke out of that. But with that being said, as I said, it took place Memorial Day weekend, so we got to stay in the dorms in East Halls. So I was a 12, 13-year-old living that college life for a weekend. We even got to go to the pool that's like located on East Campus, like on our downtime. I also have memories of playing in the intramural building, and I also played in the BJC. So I sometimes forget that even happened to me, honestly. And then I remember that like that totally stuck out in my mind. I actually have a keychain that I got from one of those tournaments. I went 2 years in a row, and it's still on my keychain to this day. It's like a monkey with a little Penn State shirt. And I have friends that are like, isn't that heavy? I'm like, but it's also like my reminding like factor that my Penn State journey started so young. But with that being said, I guess I was exposed to that college life early on. And this was also before like East major renovations were made. So my idea of East is so different compared to what it is now. But I guess fast forward to my senior year of high school, when I started that whole college search and journey, I was trying to go. I have my degree in journalism, so I was looking for places that would have not only reputable programs, but also could help me get involved on campus with journalism. So I applied to Penn State. When I got in, it was like this turning point for me. I was like, wow, this is really awesome. I remember my parents thinking like, this is so cool. Like, you should be so proud of yourself that you got into Penn State. Like, what a huge accomplishment. I went to a really small private high school. So it was like, obviously out of my realm to apply to such a large university. I went from a class of 300 to then almost 9,000, one of the largest incoming freshman classes my freshman year. Right. But when I went to my accepted students day, that was in February of 2016. So of course that's like in the brunt of state college winter. So it was freezing cold. It was snowing actually when I got to Penn State for my tour and my whole accepted students day program. And I remember my dad saying that if I like Penn State in the snow, then I'll like it when it's sunny, when it's hot, when it's fall, when the leaves are falling off the trees. Like, if I can like it in any type of climate, temperature, like, so be it, then that's the place for me. And I remember going, aside from the weather aspect, I went to the College of Communications presentation, and I was introduced to a publication, Valley Magazine, which I was a part of, and I thought this was so cool. I was like, how cool would that be to write for a magazine, like, as an undergraduate student? Like, what a great opportunity to get involved with so early on in the communications and journalism career. So the weather on top of the opportunities, on top of course, the alumni network, I was all just so many things for me that really enhanced my opinion and decision on coming to Penn State. And I remember, I think I went to consecutive like 2 or 3 visits within a few weekends or like within the month. And right when we left Penn State, not only I, but my family, like my parents, we definitely knew that there was no other consideration for any other schools. Like, Penn State was the place for me. I saw myself on campus. I could see myself walking up like the hill, like past Old Main to classes, like walking around campus, like just for fun. I knew that it was the place for me. So obviously, looking back, I have no regrets, and I could not thank Penn State more for the past 4 years of my life, because I don't know where else I would have been or how else I would have like developed as a person. So that's my
Penn State. So the big question is, so I too stayed on campus when I was a 13-year-old. I came to Penn State and went to a basketball camp.
Okay.
When you went swimming, did you jump off the high dive?
I don't remember. I feel like I'm not much of a daredevil.
Right.
I feel like that's a very daredevil-esque type of thing to do. So I don't think I did. I probably just like sat in the lower end or the shallow end of the pool, just
I
like laid down.
remember, I remember it being like a rite of passage. Like if you didn't jump off that, the 3 meter dive, then was it 3 meter, 10 meter, the high platform,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
If you didn't jump off that, then you weren't one of the cool kids at camp that year.
I was
Um,
probably too nervous.
yeah. So in addition to your leadership with your sorority and with Panhellenic, what other activities were you involved in on campus?
So, as I mentioned, Valley Magazine, I got involved with them my sophomore year. So I technically did a writing audition. The spring of my freshman year, I joined staff in the summer going to sophomore year. So the way it works, I started off as a web writer. So I created content weekly for the online platform. And then after a semester of creating just web content, I became a print writer. So that was spring of my sophomore year. So for 2.5 years, I was creating content for the print issue of the magazine that comes out every semester. So a fall issue and then a spring issue. And then this past semester, so the spring semester, I was fortunate enough to be the self-improvement editor. So I edited every self-improvement article for both web and print. So imagine weekly, that's at least maybe up from at least from 1 article to 5 articles for web. And then for print, that's up to possibly 5 or 6 articles. And then I also did a section opener. So I interviewed a Penn State student for that. And that's also published online. So that was really great. I definitely dedicated a lot of time to Valley. I also was involved with Thon. So I was on a rules and regulations committee my sophomore year. So the name says it for itself.
Right, right.
They obviously like take care of all the rules and regulations, making sure the BJ is safe for both volunteers, participants, families, children, etc. And then junior year, I was involved with dancer relations. So I was a quote unquote DRCM, a dancer relations committee member for a dancer in Thon 2019. So I took care of 2 dancers. So that was really great. And then senior year, I was fortunate enough to dance
Yeah.
in Thon. So that was really great, full circle moment for me. Thon was always something I wanted to get involved with coming to Penn State. And then I was also a Lion Scout. So I was a tour guide. I did a very similar thing in high school. I was part of a shadowing program for 8th grade students who were like looking to come to my high school. So I wanted to do the same thing in college. So I gave tours through admissions. For 3 years, I joined that sophomore year. Definitely got my steps in around campus. I can name building. I hope I can still name buildings for you. Definitely know various routes to classes to cut off some time walking. But yeah, that's all I can think of that I was involved with on campus. So.
That's awesome. So during your time at Penn State, the Greek community faced numerous challenges. How have you approached leading through your time at Penn State and on Panhellenic, and in what ways does Greek life need to continue to improve?
So yeah, I definitely can acknowledge that at least in my 4 years at Penn State, Greek life has been through numerous challenges, numerous changes. However, my main goal when I ran for Panhellenic was to be a voice for that change. I was super driven in like the women's empowerment movement, specifically through Panhellenic, making sure women's voices are heard and anybody's voices are heard in general. I think that's a very important thing, especially within Greek life, is to have that very strong voice and presence to want to make a difference. I think that also within at Penn State too, like I can acknowledge that we are very lucky and happy to have all 4 Greek councils at Penn State. So if anybody is unaware, that's Panhellenic, IFC, MGC, and NPHC. So we are a very strong Greek presence on campus. I believe that I've set like a pathway to make those changes within just interacting with all the Greek councils and just enforcing change in general. I do believe, as I said, that Greek life has a very strong presence. We have a very strong voice that comes from both our councils and all of our members. And I think that the things that I've done during my term can help, like I said before, pave the way for future boards. I believe that the current board and the current boards in general across the Greek councils are doing a lot of great things at this time. I think that I'm really glad I had a say in a lot of changes and a lot of improvement to the Greek life system at Penn State. And I am really looking forward to seeing what future boards have to do and what they have in store. The future is definitely very bright for Greek life. And I'm really, like I said before, I'm very happy to have been a part of the change, witnessed the change, and made a difference as a whole to make the experience so much more positive for all those involved.
Great. This is the Penn State Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. I'm Paul Clifford. I'm joined by Executive Vice President, now former Executive Vice President of the Panhellenic Council, Kylee McGuigan. Kylie, let's talk a little bit about COVID-19. You danced in Thon.
Yeah.
And you went on spring break. Where were you when you learned that Penn State was going to go to remote learning and then ultimately you wouldn't be able to return to finish out the semester?
So I was eating lunch at my hotel on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. I remember my friends all kind of knew it. We all had some sort of, not like connection, but we had some sort of like insight into like information that may have been like dispersed or whatnot. So we had a very strong inkling that things were going to be different for us for the remainder of our senior year. I remember, I think our food just came out and then we got the email and we were like, how are we supposed to finish our lunch now? Like, we just like had our food like out. We just like didn't really know what to do with ourselves. So I remember like in my various group chats, everyone was like, oh my gosh, like this is how senior year is going to happen for us. Like, what are we going to do? Like all this stuff. Like my one friend got on a call right away in our hotel room. Like, I just was like, all right, this is a lot right now. I think like maybe let's just try to enjoy the rest of our break in Fort Lauderdale and then come home and then hopefully things will start to make more sense for us. But yeah, and then I came home and I guess reality sort of set in once everything started to change for us. But no one else can say that this happened. The class of 2020 is definitely very unique in that aspect. I'm very appreciative of the health and safety measures that the university took. Obviously, it would have been very difficult to return to campus, but like I said, I'm glad I was with friends, also Penn Staters at the time, so that we could also talk about it and just figure out our own feelings and emotions about it. But yeah, that was a lot to definitely take in the middle of spring break.
Yeah, earlier you mentioned you have earned your journalism degree. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're an accomplished writer. Where is your career going to take you?
That is a really great question. I am on the lookout for opportunities currently. I've had really great opportunities in the past through internships. I've interned on campus, like at Penn State. I've also interned in Philadelphia since I'm so close to the city. Like I said, I'm looking for opportunities. I would very much love to stay within journalism. I've had experience within communications as a whole, whether it be social media and marketing. I've also done public relations, anything within that realm. So I'm very open. I love any experience that would come my way. Magazine writing is my forte. So if I can get involved with any sort of publication within Philadelphia, New York is the absolute goal. But I have that plan. That's like my 5-year plan. But I am really looking forward to seeing where the future takes me. I'm currently in the process of working on a website, getting a blog up and running. Freelance is really popular now these days with writing. So I got to just keep writing. Honestly, that's my big goal for the rest of the summer, and applying, connecting, obviously using my network of both Penn State alum, my past network within communications. Really just looking forward to seeing whatever comes my way and very open to any sort of opportunity. So
excellent.
That's where my future is taking me.
All right. So we like to have a little bit of fun on coffee hour. So we have our lightning round. So I'm just going to throw some things at you and I'm going to just react with the first thing that comes to mind. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Sheets or Wawa?
Wawa.
Favorite spot on campus?
Ooh. Probably, I loved the hub. I loved going to the hub when I had my office.
TikTok or Snapchat?
Probably TikTok.
Favorite, you probably already said this, but favorite building on campus?
Probably Old Main.
Okay. Your favorite pizza place in State College?
Ooh. I like Faccia Luna. They have really good pizza.
They do.
So, yeah.
That's a good pick right there.
Yeah.
Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
Your favorite place to eat on campus?
Ooh, on campus. I like Redifer in South. They have a lot of really great options. So I'm very picky. So they have pizza and that's all I really need.
Dunkin'.
I'm sorry?
Starbucks or Dunkin'?
Oh, Starbucks for sure. Yeah.
Your favorite Penn State sport?
I hate to sound cliche and say football, but I'm also a very big wrestling fan. That was the first Penn State event I ever went to with my dad. In the BJC, we saw Penn State, Ohio State. So
that was awesome.
Yeah. That was 2016.
All right, let's see here. Your favorite place to study on campus? Library, the hub? Where do you go to study?
It's funny, I probably have only been to the library maximum 10 times in my undergraduate career because I like to, I don't mind the hub. I like the hustle and bustle of things. It like forces me to pay attention to what I'm doing.
Yeah. And finally, your favorite creamery ice cream flavor?
I'm so like basic and just saying, I haven't even been that often. I probably would just say like a cookies and cream type of flavor.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do some word association. So I'm going to say some things, and then you just tell me the first thing that pops to mind.
Okay.
The Nittany Lion.
My good friend Zach Soa.
DeFi.
Definitely Sisterhood.
FTG.
For the yeah, I think they makes you think of Lion ambassadors, honestly.
Class of 2020.
Resilient.
We are.
Penn State, obviously.
Kylie, I want to thank you for joining us this morning.
Of course.
They have gone with a new setup for Zoom at Penn State, so we don't even have a chat box anymore. But if somebody would like to ask Kylie a question, you could just look at the reactions tab on the bottom and wave or raise your hand or give a thumbs up, and then you can unmute and go ahead. We may not have any questions this morning. The whole new settings on chat have really thrown me off a little bit.
Yeah, it's so strange. I noticed it too. I just updated this morning. It's very interesting.
Yeah. But I want to thank you for joining us. It's so good to hear your story. It's so good to catch up with you. And good luck to all that you're going to do in the future. I know that it's uncertain right now, but I know you have a bright future ahead of you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I really appreciate you having me on this morning. It's been great talking, super lighthearted chat that we just had. And yeah, again, thank you for everything. And I'm so happy to be part of the largest alumni network now as an alumna. So very excited for what's in store for me in the future.
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Oh, a question from
Amanda.
Amanda, go ahead, Amanda.
So I'm an alumni. I was in a sorority 10 years ago at Penn State. What was the biggest change that you've seen in the past 4 years? Like something very specific that you've seen with Greek life at Penn State?
Yeah, of course. I think that in my time in Greek life, as specific as I can get, I think that in the past, I would have to assume, or at least my freshman year, I believe that everyone, or like sorority was very sorority centric. So it was like, I'm going to just interact within my own chapter and not really branch out. The whole Panhellenic unity was a really big thing, I guess, during my term. I think that is one really big change I've seen in the last 4 years, at least within my term as executive vice president, is that whole idea of conversing with Greek members within Panhellenic and within Greek life as a whole is just making sure that we're all Greek. Like we all have the same experience. We all wear those letters very proudly. And at least with my experience, there are various things that Panhellenic has done. Like we do a book club, for example, that gets presidents speaking about issues within Panhellenic and how to address them, especially like we have to be strong women during this time. In general, like we are a very strong female presence on campus. And I think that that's one really big change I've loved seeing over at least the past 4 years, is that Panhellenic unity and coming together within all the chapters, within all the councils, Greek life as a whole. Just really like those conversations are being had a lot more often. We're doing a lot more, I guess, like quote unquote conferences, for lack of a better word, to get those conversations to be had and all those topics to be discussed. So I think that it's really been great to see just everyone really becoming friends outside of their just individual chapters. So I think that's a really great change I've seen in the past few years.
Thanks for the question, Amanda. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I'll invite you to join us next Wednesday when our guest will be the former president of Penn State's Public Relations Student Society of America, Corinne Finley. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all you do for the university, for the glory, and for the future. We are
Penn State. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.